joining us more on this is the political commentator Steve Gill and Professor of International Politics at the University College Dublin, Scott Lucas. Good morning to you, Steve and Scott. Thank you very much for your company. Steve, let's start with you, shall we? What do you make of all of this? Because this is significant, isn't it? The first US president ever in history to face criminal charges.
Yeah, I think you used the word significant. I would also say it will be a spectacle. And that's part of what President Trump wants. There are reports that he was given the opportunity to do this arraignment by a Zoom. He's preferring to go in daylight, even though they've apparently negotiated no handcuffs, perhaps no mugshot, although the president has made comments that his mugshot will become the most famous mugshot in history and that you'll see it on T-shirts and mugs and everything else. The president is going to draw attention to this. And the other sideshow is that you have a partisan Democrat judge who will be overseeing this, who is reportedly considering imposing a gag order on the president to keep him from talking about this case, which would be questionable from a constitutional standpoint, particularly when you have an announced presidential candidate who would then be gagged by a court order by a judge who is a partisan Democrat.
Well, Steve, they're going to try and gag Trump. They're probably going to need a bigger gag. I just want to put something across to you, Steve, from our viewers this morning. A couple of points here. Our viewers are calling this trial a witch hunt, and they're saying it will increase support for Trump from the American public. What's your take on that, Steve?
Well, you're already seeing that in the polls as his numbers have moved up. He's raised about $7 or $8 million in just the days since the indictment was announced. So, yes, he is going to see a surge. The question is whether or not that will carry into a general election. It will certainly, I think, help him in a primary, in a Republican primary. His base is coming to his support. Even those who were opposing him in the Republican primary are now leaking towards him, but not sure whether that will actually carry into a general election. More importantly, this thing opens up Pandora's box of tit-for-tat political prosecutions. For example, Joe Biden's brother has been accused of fraud with a healthcare company that has clinics in Tennessee and Florida. You could see a county prosecutor in Florida or Tennessee deciding they want to get some national attention by indicting the president's brother and trying to tag that on to the president himself. So this is opening a Pandora's box that I think Democrats will rue the day they ever let this partisan Democrat pursue these very weak misdemeanor charges against the former president.
Scott, I want to take that over to you then. Are we opening Pandora's box here? Because we've had a viewer email in this morning saying that America has ignored the criminal odours coming from Hunter Biden's laptop and Biden himself with his tax records. Is there a point to be made there?
No, I mean, the fundamental point is that, and I hope Steve will finally come out and say this, is that the legal process must be upheld and respected, whether Trump is acquitted or convicted. What you have seen are those who want to abide by the legal system, and then you've seen the gaslighting on the other side by Trump, his allies, and regrettably by Steve. What I mean by gaslighting is that instead they'll portray Trump as the victim. And what they'll do is that they will bully, they will insult, they will attack the district attorney, Alvin Bragg. They will attack the grand jury that brought the indictment. They'll attack the prosecutors. And indeed, they will attack, just as Steve has, without any evidence, the judge. Now, it is a principle of the American system that you let the system work without political interference. You don't put your thumbs on the scale. I'm sure Steve is right. There will be a spectacle, and Donald Trump will try to put his thumb on the scale. But we at least should have the decency to let the system work without throwing away terms like political persecution and witch hunt. And by the way, just to refute what Steve said, Joe Biden's brother has been investigated by that legal system, and Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, has been investigated by that legal system since 2018. So it is a balanced system in the sense that all should be held accountable, and none should escape accountability by attacking the people who try to maintain law and order.
Steve, what do you make of that? Do you think we should just let the people who are maintaining law and order get on with their jobs?
Yeah, let's deal with a few of the facts. First of all, these misdemeanor charges in New York have a 2-year statute.
They're not misdemeanors. Felony charges, Steve. Felony. Thank you. Felony charges. Yeah, felony charges. Just to set the facts straight, they're felony charges, Steve.
Please, guys. Let Steve go first, because, Scott, you've had quite a run. Steve.
Charges. And as he was saying, we've had other investigations on the federal charges related to federal election law violations. The FBI decided there wasn't anything to pursue. The Department of Justice decided there wasn't anything to pursue. The Federal Election Commission decided there was nothing to pursue. So yes, it was investigated at the federal level. They rejected it. And now you have a partisan elected Democrat in Manhattan pursuing charges on misallocation of records and trying to shoehorn them into a federal charge. He lacks jurisdiction. And yes, it is beyond the statute of limitations.
Scott?
Show some decency, Steve, and show some respect for the legal facts. Here are the facts as they set out. We will not know the exact nature. We will not know exact nature of the charges until this afternoon. But when they are unsealed by the judge in the court, the reliable organizations say we are talking about at least 24 and possibly more than 30 charges, and they are not misdemeanor charges. They are felony charges. They are felony charges which are not about campaign election violations. They are felony charges which are likely to be about false recording of business transactions, not only over the Stormy Daniels case, the payoff made in an attempt to influence the U.S. election, but also about other matters concerning the Trump organization. Remember that the Trump organization and its chief financial officer were convicted last year on violations. So again, Steve, please try to have respect for this. Don't try to play cheerleader for one side over the other. All should be accountable before the law. And to try to get Donald Trump off is not just a question of what happens while Trump is here, but about what happens to the American system after he is gone.
Steve, final words here.
Point out that the two key witnesses in this case are a porn star who is a affirmed liar. She owes Donald Trump $300,000 for a failed case that she had regarding slander. And the other key witness is Cohen, who is the former attorney for the president, who actually went to jail for fraud and perjury. So the two key witnesses of this partisan political district attorney are proven liars, and that's going to be the basis of his case.
Okay, Steve, Gill, Scott Lucas, thank you very much for joining us.
Far more than two witnesses.
There we go. Do you know, if the coming day is going to be anything like that, Ellie, we are in for quite a ride. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time.
Thank you to both of you.
Thank you.
I mean, it is certainly divisive, isn't it? And as you say, that's indicative of what we're going to see today.
Yeah.
I mean, there are sharp divides, aren't there, in the American political system and the spectacle. We're using Steve word there. I mean, it's only going to,
I've got to say, I'm very much looking forward to it. Because I just think politics just needs this drama, it needs this kind of cut and thrust, needs this incision, needs this debate, it needs that engagement.